There are so many things to do in Tokyo, so how do you even choose? In today's video, I am sharing 15 things that I really truly enjoyed doing in Tokyo on my last trip to Japan, so hopefully this will help narrow down your list. Hi friend, my name is Sarah and welcome back to my channel. I went to Japan for the very first time last year and I probably spent about a year on and off researching for my trip. I know, I'm insane. I probably scoured every corner of the internet to make sure that I know everything and anything as someone who's going to Japan for the very first time. So make sure to subscribe and watch all of the videos on how I plan my trip to Japan to save you some time. The very first thing that I think is totally worth it and I would highly recommend is the Yakatabune dinner in Asakusa. I actually got the inspiration and the idea to do this from Paolo from Tokyo's videos. It's probably a very old video, and I feel like if you are from the US and you are going to Japan for the first time, you probably watch a lot of his videos. But anyways, it's almost kind of like a kaiseki dinner that you would get if you stay at a ryokan in Japan, but it also combined with a happy hour on a boat sailing through the Sumida River at night. It's actually a pretty interesting experience. So there's a lot of people who are, I guess, drunk, maybe buzzed, but overall they were just having a good time. So I feel like if you have younger kids, I wouldn't really recommend it because I don't think they will like it. But if you are going with a group of, people who are able to drink, I would definitely highly recommend it. It's not the cheapest option to have a dinner in Tokyo, but if you don't have the time or the budget to do it, I would just add it to my wish list for your next trip to Japan. The second thing that I would highly recommend and that I actually kind of enjoyed is going through the vintage arcade games Alleyway inside the Odaiba shopping street. You probably will spend half a day in Odaiba because Team Labs is in there, as well as Small Worlds Museum, and there's also a couple other malls that might be interesting to you, especially if you are around my age. Maybe you are a little bit older, you grew up in the early 90s, maybe 80s, maybe even late 70s. You probably are familiar with some of these vintage arcade games and vintage characters that you probably grew up with. So if you want to feel a little bit nostalgic and just kind of looking back into your childhood and having fun, make sure to check it out. There are also a few of those old school snack and candy stores that they try to replicate inside this alleyway. So if you are into eating some snacks and candies that are old school that you probably have not seen around anymore, you can probably find it in this alleyway. Hi friends, Sarah's here and I'm so sorry to interrupt today's video, but I just want to come on here really quickly to announce that I have a new freebie that you can download today. I have been sharing a lot of my recommendations and tips on how to go about planning your very first trip to Japan, and I created a very simple 12-day Japan itinerary that was inspired from my own trip to Japan. If you want to go check it out, the link will be down in the description box below. And now let's get back to the video. The next thing that I think you should do, especially if it's your first time in Japan, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, is to go eat at Ichiran Ramen. Yes, I know there are many other ramen and udon and noodle shops that are better than Ichiran, but I feel like if it is their first time in Japan, they should definitely at least taste Ichiran and form their own opinion about the chain restaurant. It's not an absolutely must do, but I think you should. For those people who are gonna comment down below saying that they should not or do not eat at Ichiran, let me know if you actually ate at Ichiran on your first trip to Japan, because this video is for people who are going to Japan for the very first time, so they absolutely have to taste Ichiran to create their own opinion about it. I went to Ichiran, I believe, the first night we landed in Japan. I think the ramen was just okay. There's definitely more things you can add to make it better. The next thing that I think you should do is Yoshinoya. I know that if you are from the US, you probably have heard about Yoshinoya. And unfortunately, where I'm living right now in Vegas, in Nevada, we don't have Yoshinoya. And I honestly love Yoshinoya. So naturally, when we went to Japan, I wanted to go to Yoshinoya because I want to try it from, you know, the source, the original store that is from Japan. It definitely didn't disappoint. It was, again, still that really fast service, casual eatery. It's pretty affordable, and a lot of people actually, when we went, just had lunch from work at Yoshinoya. It was just the experience of eating there with other locals who are working, and it was just good. So let me know in the comment below if you like Yoshinoya. What is your opinion about Yoshinoya? Do you have the same opinion about Ichiran, where there are other better places to eat? But honestly, it was good, it was cheap, we were full, and we were happy. The next thing that I would highly recommend is to go on the Yurikamome train that passes the Rainbow Bridge. If I remember correctly, there are 2 levels of the bridge. One is for people who are driving, and the other level is for the train. So I think it was really cool that you can take the train passing through the bridge. You get to see Tokyo from a distance, or Odaiba depending on where you're coming from. And if you go on this line, you'll probably see kids and adults alike being at the end of the car, like either the front or the back, and trying just to enjoy the scenery of the whole bridge and the river. So if you get a chance to go to Odaiba using the Yurikamome line, make sure that the route that you are putting on Google Map pass through the river or the water on Rainbow Bridge, because it was a pretty cool sight to see. The next thing that I have on my list is Shibuya Sky. And I feel like everybody who is on Instagram probably have a picture of them at Shibuya Sky if they do go to Japan. This is probably one of the most popular observation deck in Tokyo. It is not free to go up there, and you want to make sure that you book your ticket in advance for the slot of time that you want to go to. I make the mistake of actually waiting to book the ticket. I didn't wait last minute, but basically the tickets go on sale about 2 weeks before the date. So if I wanna go to Shibuya Sky on the 14th, the ticket will be available on the 1st. I probably waited a few days, and the time that I wanna enter Shibuya Sky, it was already sold out. So I decided to just do it anyway, because that is the only day and time that I can go. So I went pretty late, I wanna say 7 or 8 p.m. and it was already dark. To be honest with you, it was still a pretty magnificent view. However, it is really dark, and it's almost too dark to take a picture up there if the sun has already set. So the best time to go is about 2 hours before the sun is setting, the golden hour, I guess. And you can take pictures and videos of, you know, Shibuya Sky and the view from Shibuya Sky when there are still light outside. And once you actually enter Shibuya Sky, you can stay as long as you want. The next thing that I did enjoy is strolling through the stores and buildings in Akihabara. If you love to check out anime merchandise and figurines, this is the place to be. There are so many stores that have 4 to maybe 12 floors. You can go in there, go in and out, up and down. There are just so many things to discover. I also want to let you know that if you are sensitive to sound and lights, be aware that throughout Akihabara, every single store, like every single building, has a giant screen outside playing, I think, advertisement or some type of commercials for their store, and it is super bright and super loud. There is an alternative. If you are going to Osaka, go check out Denden Town. It's pretty similar to Akihabara, but without all of the loud screen and loud noises. The next thing that I highly recommend, especially if you are a big fan of Pokemon, is to geek out on Pokemon stuff at Sunshine City. There are so many other Pokemon centers throughout Tokyo that are probably much bigger and much more crowded, but The second level, I believe, in Sunshine City is kind of like dedicated to Pokemon lovers because there are figurines of the original Pokemons you can take a picture at or just kind of look at, I guess. We did definitely take a few pictures. And I feel like if you have little kids that are really into Pokemon right now because they are so big, they would definitely love this area. For moving on to the next thing in the video, I just want to interrupt this video really quickly just to invite you to subscribe to my channel. I think 98% of you who are watching my video is not a subscriber, and I would love it for you to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of my future videos about Japan, about cruising, travel hacking, and so much more. I hope to see you on the next one, and now let's get back to the video. But the next thing that you might want to make sure you do in Tokyo is getting drinks from the vending machines. You probably have heard the stat that there are more vending machines than people. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment below, but there are so many vending machines everywhere. This is actually great, especially if you are someone who have to have water all the time with you. And if you are traveling in Japan, you probably would have to walk a lot and you don't want to bring your big water bottle like this one that I have right now because it's heavy and it will get annoying if you have to carry that big thing the whole day in Japan. So having vending machines everywhere in Japan, it's so helpful because you don't have to worry about getting thirsty. And I know you might think that you wanna make sure that you can recycle or you wanna be more eco-friendly when you are traveling. Don't worry because Japan probably has one of the most, maybe the best recycling system in the world. Whatever plastic bottles that you will consume, they will make sure that they recycle it the right way. The next thing that I would highly recommend is to get random stuff from the Gachapon machines. Just like the vending machines, you can probably find Gachapon machines almost everywhere in Japan as well. And I feel like some people might think that Gachapon is something useless, but I think it's a great souvenir, a great and pretty affordable souvenir to bring back to your family and friends at home. If you go to the one in Sunshine City, it's one of the biggest stores. I think you probably will spend hours, and I mean it, hours, because I spent hours in there just going through the aisle and trying to see what kind of stuffs I can get from those Gachapon machines and think about who can I give this to. So if you want to find a pretty unique and affordable souvenirs for your family and friends, check out those Gachapon machines and check out those Gachapon stores. The next thing that I would highly recommend is to get breakfast and snacks from the convenience stores. Just like vending machines and Gachapon machines, there's also a lot of convenience stores throughout Japan. If you are hungry, if you are thirsty, and you want to find a store where you can buy food, snacks, drinks, convenience stores in Japan is probably one of the best. It is pretty affordable. The food actually is really good. I think maybe the second night we were in Tokyo, I went to Family Mart across from our hotel and I got like a bunch of food. I was definitely eating with my eyes because I got random stuff, but surprisingly, we finished all of them anyway that night because they were all so good. The next thing that you can check out while you are in Shinjuku, and I feel like if you are a fan, you probably know, but you can see Godzilla in Shinjuku. I think Godzilla even has its own street. When you go through this street at the end, you will see the Hotel Gracery, I think that's what it's called, and on top of the hotel, you'll see the head of Godzilla looking down at Shinjuku and its people. And I think they do kind of have a little show where Godzilla's eyes will light up and then it will spew whatever it spews. Usually, I forgot what it's called. I believe the little show that they have is either every hour or every 15 minutes or something. It is free to take a look at it from the street, but I also want to say that if you go up to the 6th floor of the hotel, there is a cafe, a Godzilla cafe, I want to say, and you can actually maybe buy a coffee or a pastry or something, sit there to watch the Godzilla show a little bit more closer than if you were just watching it from the street. But I highly recommend, if you are a fan of Godzilla, make sure you go walk through that street and take a lot of pictures and videos from the street level, because I still think it was pretty cool. The next thing is to get a crepe in Harajuku. There are a couple different stores you can go to, but I think I went to the one called Marion Crepe or something like that. There are over 100 crepes that you can choose from. And once you buy the crepe, you'll see a lot of people eating their order on the side, because again, it's not the norm in Japan to walk and eat at the same time. The next thing is probably my favorite thing to do in Japan, but something that Ricky always tried to avoid, and that is to go to Matsumoto Kioshi and buy Japanese skincare. I feel like a couple months before I went to Japan, I've kind of like binge watching Japanese skincare videos on YouTube, and I even have a long list of products that I want to get in Japan. I probably have one side of my luggage just full of skincare that I bought from mostly Matsumoto Kioshi or Matsukio, and I was just kind of obsessed. But it was just kind of fun going through the aisle, checking out some of the stuff that I've seen online and actually putting it on my bag or putting it on my little cart and buy them. It was just my type of shopping. If you are one of those skincare girls and boys, make sure you check out Matsumoto Kioshi and go crazy on skincare. Finally, the last thing on the list is to go window shopping, or I guess go shopping in Shibuya. There are just a ton of buildings for department stores, clothing stores, many different stores in Shibuya that you can go to. And I don't know if you can just window shop in Shibuya, because you probably will buy something eventually. But if there is one area in Tokyo that you absolutely need to go for shopping, I think Shibuya is probably the place. Shibuya has a lot of stores there. Muji, I'm pretty sure it's there. Uniqlo, yes. Disney, yes. Matsumoto Kioshi, of course. I think I didn't actually allow enough time for myself to go through Shibuya, because we were there, but we didn't really get to walk through all of the department stores or all of the alleyways with the clothing stores and other stores that I can check out. So definitely the next time I'm back in Japan, I would just allow a whole day of me just walking through Shibuya. Some of these things are probably my favorite things to do in Tokyo, and if we are blessed enough to go back to Tokyo or to Japan, I'm definitely gonna do some of the things on this list again. If you have been enjoying this video and you want to watch more videos about how I plan my very first trip to Japan, make sure to check out the videos that you see right now on your screen.